When Napoleon invaded Egypt in 1798, his army didn't just conquer the Nile Delta, they also conquered the desert. For centuries after that, the coastal regions of Egypt were mapped and studied. The rest was kind of off limits. It was just too hot, too dangerous. You couldn't really do archaeology there. But we know now that those deserts hold secrets, secrets like pyramids. Hi, it's me and this is my channel. There are at least 100 pyramids buried under the sands of Egypt. Maybe more. We've known that for a while. But recently scientists have started to realize that thanks to tech like satellite imagery, computer vision algorithms, LiDAR and a bunch of cool stuff we're going to talk about today, we're just starting to scratch the surface of what's out there. And new discoveries are coming fast and furious. I mean, there are so many pyramids that we don't even know what to do with them. Like last year, researchers announced the discovery of 30 previously unknown pyramids near Cairo. And that's not even the biggest story from Egypt in 2021. That would be the announcement in October of over 100 previously unknown tombs from the 26th dynasty, some dating back 4,000 years, discovered at Saqqara. Thousands of clay fragments inscribed with ancient hieroglyphics were also found, plus 500 non-royal mummies. We're talking unprecedented finds here. And all this came from one single site, where work has only been ongoing since 2020. Granted, it's a huge site, but still. And these discoveries aren't just changing our understanding of ancient Egypt, they're completely reshaping it. Here are the stories of the people who spent their careers searching for the secrets of the sands and the tech that helped make it possible. In the early 2000s, geophysicist Hamed El-Damati was working at Egypt's Ministry of State for Antiquities when he got wind of an American team headed by archaeologist Sarah Parcak, using satellite imagery to look for ancient Egyptian structures. When he first heard about it, he thought they were wasting their time. Satellite imagery wasn't remotely precise enough to spot anything useful under the sand, right? But after seeing the results, he changed his mind. The team used NASA's orbital imaging satellites called the Earth Observing System to collect data. By analyzing reflected light waves at different resolutions, they could identify subtle differences in elevation across the landscape. Then they compared that data with maps of known pyramids to see if they could find other similar shapes buried in the sand. What they found was crazy. There were dozens of previously unknown structures hidden in plain sight. After that, El-Damati was hooked. He wanted to take what Parcak started and blow it up into something bigger. With support from Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities, he put together a team that combined Egyptology, geology, physics, and computer science. Their goal was to map the entire Western Desert, an area larger than Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware combined. The first challenge, finding a way to process all that data. The satellites fly at 7 kilometers above the Earth and can image an area 100 meters across with a resolution of about 30 meters. Now imagine trying to find a needle the width of a house from 7 kilometers up. It's almost impossible. But using a technique called interferometry, El-Damati's team managed to get the resolution down to 30 centimeters. That's about 1 foot. Then they needed to wrangle all that data. Remember, each pixel is the size of a football field, so for the satellite images of the Western Desert to be any good, you need to process petabytes of data. Petabytes, the amount of data contained in 25 million DVDs. To do that, they created an algorithm that could sift through all that data and identify likely candidates. Then, archaeologists on the ground could go verify the results. Even with all this fancy technology, there were limits. See, the desert is always changing. Winds sculpt the dunes just like waves sculpt the beach. The only difference is it's much faster. The winds in the Sahara can blow at 160 kilometers per hour or 100 miles per hour and will wear away the sand in places that have been stable for thousands of years. And sometimes they'll deposit new sand in other places, covering things up. Plus, when you're looking for something that might be buried under hundreds of meters of sand, well, you're looking for something that might be buried under hundreds of meters of sand. You'd like to think of the desert as unchanging, eternal, but it's not. It changes all the time and it destroys things as it changes. Still, the results were incredible. Between 2014 and 2018, El Damati and his team discovered over 100 pyramids in the Western Desert and several dozen more in the Eastern Desert. They also identified 20 previously unknown megalithic structures in the Eastern Desert and over 500 archaeological sites in Siwa Oasis, including tombs, temples, fortresses, and more. And here's the thing. All this is just the beginning. The reason is that satellite imagery is just one tool in a rapidly expanding toolkit. As of late 2021, there are several satellites dedicated to surveying Egypt. One of them is NASA's ICESat-2, which flies over the desert twice a year. Instead of recording reflected light, ICESat-2 records the time it takes for laser pulses to return. That makes it ideal for measuring small changes in elevation caused by wind or, the occasional sandstorm. Combine that with the higher resolution of the European Sentinel satellites, and soon archaeologists won't have to wait for decades to discover something new. They might find out weeks or even days after it happens. And it's not just satellites either. Researchers are also using drones with LiDAR sensors, which emit laser pulses at 900,000 times per second. That allows them to get incredibly detailed maps of buried structures without disturbing the sand. And now that LiDAR technology has gotten smaller and cheaper, they can send those drones into action whenever a satellite detects a potential anomaly. That means archaeologists no longer have to travel to the middle of nowhere, trek out into the desert, and painstakingly dig layer by layer to uncover something. Sometimes all it takes is a few clicks of a mouse. Of course, that doesn't mean every newly discovered pyramid will be another Giza. In fact, many of the pyramids being discovered aren't pyramids at all. They're mastaba, which are flat-sided tombs built before the true pyramids appeared. Take the 30 newly discovered pyramids near Cairo, for example. Only 3 of them are true pyramids. The other 27 are mastaba, built for senior bureaucrats and senior military officers during the 26th dynasty. But that's actually great news, because these low-profile tombs might hold the key to unlocking our understanding of early Egyptian society. We already knew that big pyramids were built for pharaohs and members of the royal court. This includes the Red Pyramid of Sneferu, which until now was thought to be the oldest true pyramid in Egypt. But mastaba were built for people too important to be buried in a simple cave, but not important enough for a giant pyramid. So they give us a unique window into the lives of ordinary Egyptians. Unfortunately, most of these mastaba were looted long ago, so what's left inside them is pretty much limited to the architecture and whatever treasures the looters missed. But that still leaves a lot to explore. In 2019, for example, a multinational team of researchers discovered a tomb that belonged to an official named Tutu, who worked in the palace of pharaohs Neb-Petra Mentuhotep and Tutmos III. Inside, they found a variety of artifacts, including a bronze mirror, various vessels, fragments of ivory and bone, plus the mummy of Tutu himself. Now, admittedly, this isn't your typical pyramid discovery. The titular pyramid was nothing more than a mound of sand surrounding the tomb. But given that the vast majority of pyramids have already been looted, and modern development is eroding the rest, who knows what other treasures await discovery in the sands? Archaeologists are just getting started with the recently discovered pyramid field south of Cairo, and who knows what they might find. Maybe the team will turn up evidence of a lost city, like rumors suggest, or maybe they'll find evidence of one of Egypt's lost queens. Whatever they find, they'll be able to answer questions that Egyptologists have been asking for years. Thanks to tech, we're about to learn more about Egypt's history in the next few years than we did in the previous century, and we're just getting started. The first room of King Tut's tomb may have been discovered by accident back in 1922, but today archaeologists can use techniques like radar to detect hidden chambers even before they start digging. By scanning the interior of the pyramids, scientists can identify areas of slightly different density, which could mean there's a secret passage filled with treasure just waiting to be discovered. And if that happens, we'll owe a big thank you to the engineers and programmers who made it possible. Before the internet, satellite imagery was hard to get and hard to process. LiDAR was expensive and limited to military applications, and nobody was sure how much hidden pyramids had to do with Egypt's history. But as tech improves and becomes more widely available, archaeologists can do their jobs better and faster. In the coming years, autonomous excavation drones will join the party, allowing archaeologists to stay safe while exploring dangerous tombs and secret chambers. Better yet, more countries will join forces with Egypt to protect their shared heritage. This year, for example, the US, UK, and Egypt announced a joint initiative to digitally map all of Egypt's archaeological sites, whether they're in the middle of the desert or in someone's backyard. It's a win-win for everyone involved. As Morgan Freeman says, it's profound to contemplate how these monuments endured for thousands of years. They were sculpted by hand with primitive tools and somehow survived the test of time. We've learned so much about the ancient world from studying them, yet we continue to find new things. These pyramids are more than just piles of stones. They're testaments to human ingenuity and endurance. It's easy to dismiss them as relics of the past, but they're more than that. They're a reminder that no matter how old a civilization is, it's still worth exploring. And now you know how scientists uncovered the secrets of the Egyptian pyramids. Check out this video for more. Thanks for watching.